Okay, now we are going to comment on the latest articles published on the PHP classes blog on the latest month. There are like 7 articles. Arthur, which ones would you like to comment?
Not only articles, but also, as we know, videos.
Yeah, some articles have videos.
Here the why is it different screen? Okay, I think you see the correct screen. Oh, yeah, seems so. So the first article, wanted to comment, is how developers can quickly create invoices to bill their customers using Invoicely. And this article is written by Elma Dilavergheit from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And at first I thought it would be a WordPress plugin, because it usually is, but this time no, it's about the service mostly. And the service to generate invoices and allow your customers to pay you, which is an important part if you're managing your own business. And this article basically describes everything from the start, how you can register with the Invoicely service and what the registration types and plans. Mentions here that there are three plans, but without advanced feature, it's also free, so you can try it for free. You can be a business or individual. How to create your first invoice, even with the screenshot forms, as you see, and bill your first invoice to a customer, and use dashboard to interpret all the data it shows. You can generate reports and manage customers who paid, who not, and you can see all of there. You can manage it in multiple currencies with additional currency layer API class, which is also published on PHP classes site.
No, this API is it's from the same company. There is a class to access that API, but that's it is from the same company that offers that Invoicely service.
Oh, so it's a Invoicely API.
Yes, there is this API for the currency layer, and there is a class to access that API. And Invoicely is a service to let developers, for instance, generate invoices so the customers get pay them, right? And Invoicely and the currency layer API are from the same company, API layer, which is also a sponsor of the Innovation Award.
I see. Okay, all makes sense. And there are additional features that are paid features, like estimates and tracks, where you need to be upgraded to see them. This article also talks about them. And basically, yes, if you want to manage your own business, then Invoicely is something that could help you. I think if you want to manage your own software business, then probably you need something also which would manage downloads and access of clients to specific downloads, and it could be usually together with Invoice.
Yes, that's useful for many types of businesses, and the idea here is that you can use this service for free. It has some premium features if you issue many invoices, which should be a good thing. Which means that you are getting money from many customers. You probably want to use the premium version, which provides you additional features.
Yeah. Okay, and the next article is your PHP application vulnerable to HTTPoxy security exploits, by Manuel Lemos from Portugal.
Who could be?
Yeah, We already actually discussed this in the main podcast, but here I can just mention that some libraries, some third-party libraries, which are used to receive HTTP, cost to process HTTP, cost HTTP libraries basically, uh, use the environmental variable. Let me find it where here it is, I think. Yeah. So environmental variable HTTP proxy to check if this server uses some kind of proxy, and it should use this proxy to make request, for example. But it happens that by CGI, which is in this way Common Gateway Interface standards, that in PHP headers that received with HTTP are automatically converted to variables or environmental variables with HTTP prefix. So if someone sends a header named proxy, it would automatically convert it, prepend HTTP to it and convert it to this environmental variable, thus overriding or writing this value from the outside as an input. And if library uses to check it, if proxy is used, it would use the value provided from HTTP request. So any user can inject any HTTP proxy URL they want, and server would use it, passing all information it has to this third-party proxy. So this is the way to get the information from server. That's the basic vulnerability from this. And this class describes it more, how exactly it works and which PHP web applications are affected. As I think there was HTTP Boxy site that claims that some common libraries and sites were affected, like Drupal with 8th version and stuff like that, and how to check if your site is vulnerable to HTTP Boxy exploit. I know we can do a quick check.
Yeah, that's an experimental service. I have not tried, but if it works somehow, it may send requests to a proxy
Your
of
site
an
is good.
attacker.
Your site is good. It works normally, so don't worry.
Huh?
I don't know. Can you see it? Your site is good. Send a request.
Yeah, because there are no requests being sent from that URL to a remote server, and I think that's what that service checks. But that is more when you have a site you are not sure what code you are running. I'm sure I'm not running code that uses those variables. So
yeah, and this article also discusses ways how to mitigate this vulnerability if you have one. So if you're interested, check out the podcast previously recorded or this article more about this vulnerability.
yeah.
And the last article I wanted to mention is PHP multithreading using pthreads extension. I think many who program in C, C++ would know pthreads extension. With no pthreads, and this is an extension for PHP specifically. But this article was written by Dmitry Mamontov from Russia, and it discusses how it looks in PHP. So there is a pthreads, which is an object-oriented API, and it contains some basic classes like threaded, thread, and a worker. Threaded is a pthreads basis, which makes running the code in parallel, and it provides the methods to synchronize between these parallels. Right? So you can create a subclass of a thread and implement method run, and it would execute this code on the separate thread when you call the start, for example. So contents of the run would be executed on the separate thread. This is where you want your long running tasks to be run. And there are workers, which are persistent threads, which can work, do more work, span for more, and can be used by different threads. and until they are shut down. And there is a pool class which can have pool of workers. So you don't need to initiate workers all the time. You create pool of them, and when they are free, they are get got back in the pool and used from the pool and stuff like that. So that's the main classes that you can use to create your threading application. And as author actually somewhere here mentions that about the threading being complex. If you're not afraid, go on. Yeah. So in his article, Joe Watkins in his article warns that multi-threading is not always easy and we must prepare to use it correctly. And this class also concentrates on it. It provides lots of examples of how you can use pthreads, and even mentions that pthreads is actually an extension, so it might not be available on all PHP servers, like it might be disabled extension and stuff like that. So there are also polyfills that provides the same classes, the same code that would be run with the same API, but only without PHP threads extension. So this code would be executed in just one thread, but twist your code would not crash. It would still run without any code changes. And here he provides some benchmarks with analysis of how the code runs in parallel with different threads and usage. So if you need to use multi-threading in PHP, it's possible through different ways, and one of them is pthreads, and you can find more about them in this specific article. That's all on my part.
Okay. Well, on my part, I would like to comment just on the continuation of a series of articles that are about creating your own software product businesses. As if you follow the last episode, I started a series of videos on which I talk about several things that are important for those that want to create their own software product businesses and be successful, and so they can be independent, have their own companies, and do more of what they want rather than what other employers or customers want them to do. So we started with several articles on these matters. Actually, the articles are about the videos. These are tutorial videos. So let me share the screen here. In general, they are short videos, like 6 minutes or so. And in each video, I tell something that is important for the developers to know before they start creating their own businesses, so they can become successful. So in the first article, actually video, I talk about something that developers or even other kind of entrepreneurs do not need to necessarily be developers, could use as a criteria to quickly tell if a software product idea will be successful. It's not like looking at the crystal ball and see if the product is successful, but look at certain characteristics of the product. So the idea is to avoid the frustration that many that try to create their own business end up having later tried something and it did not work as well as they hoped as a business. Arthur, I think you mentioned something that at least in the past you tried to have your own startup, or right?
Yes.
And
Tried
so,
different lots of
about
ideas and approaches.
right. Well, in this case, this video is to help you or anybody that has an idea for a product and look at it and immediately have an idea if it can be successful or not. And basically, it consists in analyzing the idea to tell if it is what we call a vitamin or a painkiller. A vitamin is one of those products that are nice to have, that they do nice things, but they are not essential for the customer. So sometimes it's very hard to market them, so the customers buy them because for the customers they are not perceived as essential. So on contrast, the painkiller is a product that the customer cannot live without. So sort of them helps the customer to deal with a certain pain. So this is a metaphor that is being used to evaluate your ideas. So when you have an idea for a product, you think, oh, will the customer think that is a vitamin or a painkiller? So basically, this video explains what I just said, and not only that, but also tells the people that can look at the video that it is possible to transform what is initially a vitamin into a painkiller. I'm not going into much more detail because we probably will be repeating what was said in the video. So if you are interested, criteria to evaluate if your idea is good or bad, how good it is, how bad it is, what you need to do to somehow improve your ideas and go in the right direction. Just watch this video, and you can go to the video page. This is a screenshot of the video, and there are and it has a link to the actual video page. Here you can play the video, and if you want to get the next videos about these topics, you just sign up, and once those videos are published, you get a notification either via Facebook or an email address that you provide to come and watch the next video. So the next video that was published is about 6 important criteria or steps that you need to make your software product succeed. And this is to help, once again, people to have some kind of criteria to evaluate if they are doing the right things. It's not only having the right ideas. There are other things that you should do, should consider, should evaluate. In total, there are like 6 things, like partnering with the right kind of people that you get along and be good partners, not argue, because many companies just sometimes many startups just end because the partners argued and they do not get along. And there are other criteria like generating recurring revenue and so on. In total, there are like 6 steps to make your software product succeed. So if you watch this video, you'll learn what are those steps, so you'll be more prepared even before you start to deal with the challenges of making a successful software product business. The next video is one a little different, which is not just me talking, but rather a consulting session. Basically, there is this possibility, if you are interested, to get advice that I can give to you about one question that you may have about how to make your software product business successful. Personally, I'll be like, for the last 15 years, I've been working full-time in the PHP classes site, and turned it into my full-time business. I tried many things did not succeed, others succeeded, but the success was sort of limited. So for all these 15 years, I have learned a lot what to do and what not to do. So somebody that has a question may come, and I'll provide a free consulting session to answer a question that you may have. It will be a short consulting session, like 10-15 minutes, and the idea is to answer one specific question. So in this first free consulting session, I had as consulting with me our longtime friend Michael Kimson. And let me just comment one thing, that if you want to come have a free consulting session, I might actually hide your identity, because you may want to ask a question that you do not want to be identified, you don't want to other people to recognize that is you. So the idea, since the idea is to publish these videos so others also can learn about these experiences, these consulting sessions, if you do not want to show up, I can just hide your image and hide your name and distort your voice. And I have already done several of these sessions, and so far only one person wanted to remain anonymous. So the person asked this question, I answered, and then I added the videos in such a way that his name and picture do not appear and the voice gets distorted. But in this case, the first one was with the, he does not have a problem with talking about his question. Actually, his question was general, and in this first session, it was a way. It was asking to a way to evaluate his business ideas, to determine which one would be the best that she should proceed and invest on it and develop a product to actually maximize his chances of success. Imagine if you have multiple ideas, how do you determine which one is your best idea? So in this video, I not only try to answer that question, but also provide specific insights about related with what the developer is asking. So in this case, there were like 7 insights. If you want to learn more about this, I'm not going to repeat what I said in the video, just go and watch the video. But basically, the idea is to provide some guidance, so you increase your chances of success by following this advice. Because when for all these years, these 15 years that I've been trying to turn PHP classes into my full-time business, I learned a lot about these things, what to do or not to do. So my idea is to share this information with those that are also trying, and certainly do not want to wait like 15 years to learn all that I learned. So they can be successful as fast as possible. So in this first video, it was about how to pick ideas that
So Sorry, you're breaking up for me. I don't know.
Hello.
Okay. Still not hearing anything.
Can you listen now?
Oh, now I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I hope it was temporary. Well, basically that's it. That was the first video. There is another follow-up, actually not a follow-up, but another consulting session with a developer that has a different question. You want to know how to protect his software product ideas so they at least to reduce the chances of somebody based on his ideas. For tools.
Still again
So
breaking up stuff.
can you listen?
Yeah, now I hear you.
Yeah.
I don't know what's
Maybe
happening.
maybe it is having some kind of
Again, didn't hear you.
yeah. It is cutting. Well, I don't know. Just tell me if you are still listening.
Now I hear you now. Now it's okay.
Okay, that was one another consulting session. So this one was about what you can do to minimize the possibility of having somebody stealing your idea. Video about this software product business videos and the consulting sessions. And there are more. So next month we'll comment more about that, not just these types of articles and videos, but also other types of articles and videos related with PHP articles that were published on the PHP classes blog. So for now, that's all. Bye.